It's tabletop time. I'm Dave, and I have narrated the campaign that is REBOOT.EXE.
Yay!
It's over now, but we wouldn't leave without leaving you with a little bit of the scene in all those 80s films when the little card came up at the end and was like, and Billy went on to become a lawyer. That is basically what we're doing tonight. It's an epilogue.
With sad stuff because it's Cyberpunk. I'm Jazza, and I have been playing Peter and Pro in Reboot Seasons 1 and 2, and it's been a pleasure and a pain.
I'm Rob, and I've been playing Sebastian. To be honest, it's mostly been a pain for him. But he's come a long way, and I think he's less hated now than he was at the start.
I'm Jen, and I played Eve for both seasons of Reboot, everyone's favourite friendly neighbourhood drone. And fun fact about Eve is that, yes, her yellow puffer jacket will go to space with her.
I'm Murray, and I am the long-established actor for Elias, and I'm hoping that I'll be in the sequel, right? Right, guys? Right?
Possibly,
Maybe?
if we eventually, if we eventually come back to
movie. That's the saying, right?
They're getting their movie. They're finally getting their movie. They're making the movie.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
So here we are. It's all over, but not without this little goodbye. It's been fun playing with everyone. I'm sure there will be lots of questions left answered. Thankfully, we're also doing our patron Q&A tonight.
Yeah.
Which will be split into another video.
It will be.
Yeah.
So that'll come out next week.
Next week, if you're watching the live stream, you'll get to see it all together. But next week, for those who are slow off the mark, I don't know, we'll get the patron Q&A, and you can find out all the juicy questions that our patrons have asked.
Well, that's the video we're going to be releasing next week, but we are streaming next week. It's not going to be a regular stream. It's going to be a special one because we have alluded to a game system we're developing and will be prototype playing moving forward. We have been already sharing that with our patrons and getting feedback that has been highly valued, and it's been a really great interaction, and that's going to keep happening. And this is sort of what we wanted to do with Cogent at one point, but it just was never realistic, and also it was never, I think there were just too many things about the system that weren't meaty enough for where we wanted to go. And we're developing something that is going to be everything we need and want and more, and we're also developing it with you, so please consider becoming a patron because you can interact with that directly and get all those spicy updates. And in next week's streams, we're going to be Discording with our patrons, and there'll be a members only chat stream. So
cool.
Those in the community can sort of interact, and then the people with the Patreon tier who have access to the
it will be like we do with our Patreon after parties, where that's where God tiers.
Nope, we lost you.
What do you mean we lost me?
You bumped the thing.
No, I haven't bumped anything.
We've lost audio.
You've
knocked us.
Okay.
Have I?
There we go. It's all back.
I didn't do anything.
So basically,
you're welcome.
but this time it's going to be hero tier and up. So everyone who is in the tier that is getting the extra access to Patreon stuff, to roleplay game system stuff.
Yep.
There are so many words in my head and none of them want to come out. So it's going to be hero tier and up. Just freely chatting. Don't put your hand up. Just hang out with us and chat, and we'll play through it, and you can ask questions and we can talk through stuff. It'll be good.
In our Patreon after party tonight, I'm going to reveal the first prototype of a character sheet.
I haven't even seen it.
Very excited.
I'm excited.
I know, reveals for everyone.
I was sick and Jazza was a busy boy over the weekend, so there's surprises for me.
Yeah. Okay,
We're going to start.
Let's do it. It's epilogue time.
Okay.
Tangent for a plug.
What?
That was
plug?
Because it's the last chance to get posters.
Oh my gosh.
We do the traditional poster at the end of every season. The seasons are getting longer. This has been a 28 episode season. So there's no guarantee you're going to have the opportunity to get signed prints or posters after this week. 1 week left. It's a direct support to the channel. It really, like a direct support to the channel. So go check it out and get one. Hand signed by us here at Tabletop Time.
Do it. Thanks, everyone.
Good plug. Thanks, Dave.
Did you want me to say something else? I was going to say we put a new shirt design.
We have a
Do
shirt
that.
as
Go to that. Do that.
A shirt
Go
and
to
a hoodie
that.
design as well.
Yay. Go to, where is it,
Down
buddy?
the bottom. There it is.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk Tabletop
That's
Time
pretty
logo.
cool.
Get
It's
the
gorgeous.
TTT logo.
Hell yeah. Love
Yeah,
that.
Cyberpunk
And look,
design.
there's different sizes and colors, and it's a
Yeah.
perfect fit for you.
Wow.
Go check it out. 1 week left for
Wow.
posters, merch, and all that supports us, and so do patrons. And that's what this episode is for. Let's go to our patrons.
Get into the episode.
It has been a small window of time since your daring and chance-filled evacuation from the city. It seemed like everything went your way. In the chaos of Reboot Corp being thrown into disarray, the police reaction was insubstantial. And by pure chance, by the fates of whatever gods watch over the world, you all slipped out. You got out of Dodge, screamed into the slums, torched your van, and ran to Ugly's old hideout to recoup, to regroup, and to decide what was happening next. The night passed. There's been some teething issues, and everyone's got a moment together, a celebratory drink at the bar as a group to decide what comes next.
Who's going to go first? I want to suggest that we all have a bandito in our hand.
A bandito? Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think it's a final
Sure.
cheers
Yeah.
because I think the gang, the original three amigos, which expanded from there, has now subdivided.
While everyone's like cheering and stuff, Eve pipes up and says, "Now that we have finished our first plan, we can move on to my next one." And she slams down a piece of paper, and it's the wheelchair derby stuff that she developed previously.
How developed is it now? What are we talking?
I mean, like, it's like a blueprint, so
Yeah.
it's like fully detailed with sketches and like little like the wheels should be on fire and like flames make things go faster.
Got like the spikes coming out the wheels. to-
Yeah.
I like. Pro looks at Peter, looks at it consideringly, and says, "Has this been tested with Mars gravity, or I mean, where are you intending on holding this?
I hadn't considered space travel.
Are you going to be sourcing, people who need wheelchairs and taking them to Mars, or are you doing this with drones? Sorry,
This is simply a gift I leave for you guys.
a legacy."
Yes. It's not patented yet if you wish to copyright it.
Eve, slow down. Johnny says, walking back in his old body that you're used to, happily flexing. He gives a little look across to Riley and Pro and flexes his massive arm that he has, as opposed to the arm that was severed from him of his other form. And he says, "Well, things seem like they were moving fast. Things have changed. I didn't anticipate everyone surviving." And he looks around the room, but his eyes do linger on Ugly when he says that. He says, "The children will be waking up soon, and for a time I would aid them, act as a bit of a halfway house for those who are lost, and direct them towards our final destination. We can begin to organize, but if we're going to blast off, we don't want to leave anyone behind. It will take them time to come to their senses and reach us."
Well, that works perfectly then. And again, Eve like taps her blueprints.
I'm going to say, like, Pro's probably been away most of the time after the thing with Riley sort of setting up plans and blah, 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 whatever. So he's sort of back with the group for this period. How's Goldilocks been settling into the slums?
Who are you asking, sorry?
Johnny.
Johnny.
Oh, actually, no, I'll say Ugly. I mean, must be a shock to the system for someone used to the silver spoon.
can't say he's settled too well. I think he's asleep right now. Although there was a lot of noise. I barred the door. I don't think he's getting out. But
You did what?
yeah, I locked him in my room.
Mate, it's your brother. Do you think that'd stop you?
Yeah, but I wasn't made to be a little weed, was I? He's strong for a kid, but yeah,
He's also smart.
it's fine.
Ugly, we talked about this.
I'll check on him. Look, when he's not in a freaking catatonic state, he's flipping his nut. So it's going to take time.
Exactly.
I've got someone smarter than me to talk it through with anyway.
Who's that?
My new sister, he says, referencing his phone. And you note abnormally that, yeah, he has a phone. He does have a phone, but he doesn't usually use it in the bar. It's connected. You know his opinions on like unsecured Wi-Fi and access to his bar, but he's got this connection in his hand. And he's like, I've been talking with her. Well, I slipped in a couple of calls. So
She seems all right. I mean, she seemed pretty all right when she was putting the bullets in Isaac's head downstairs multiple times.
right. I'm sure she's all right. Not viperous bitch spawn of my family who's been carefully crafted to take over, and yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. Anyway, she says it's best if we stay away for a while. Apparently succession planning's easier without two brothers appearing, or with one seemingly disappearing. And she reckons if Uriel's back at Reboot, the aides, attendants, nannies, butlers, everything's going to swoop in and just make sure he stays exactly the way he was. Whereas out here, he's got a chance of learning from some different influences.
Eve pulls out her phone and kind of like looks through the news of the day. She gets onto Google. And I want to know what the report of Isaac's death says. Like, does it say he was murdered, or does it say like suicide, or?
There's been no report of Isaac's death
Oh, okay.
in a couple of days.
Interesting.
It's been kept completely under wraps for now. Especially given that it would be well known that the CEO of Reboot dying would then be rebooted. So there's a complication in that. So, yeah.
That is very interesting.
Cool.
So, you're all here, you're gathered. Ugly seems fairly confident that at some point, with some help from yourself, Eve, and with his efforts, he'll be able to break through to his brother. And you've seen that he's sort of slowly changing, and he has been for a long time, but it seems like even more he's healing a little bit. You haven't heard him panic once or any moments of weakness since you left the city. He's had a sense of calm around him that you've never seen before. Like every time Ugly's there, he's always like crushing a peanut shell under his finger, or like, there's always that tautly pulled spring ready to just snap back at any second, but that has been not there. So he seems to be in a better place. But he's the one to say, so what next for all of you? Happy little family, or is it time to move on?
I look across at Riley. What does her expression do in response to that question?
She looks at you quizzically, like eyebrow raised, and then she says, haven't really had much space for thinking about what I want to do. So, if you've got a plan, I'm all ears.
I think time usually helped me when I first properly got out. So maybe take a couple of months on the back burner, but I think those people. I sort of like tap at my tablet device in my coat pocket. I think it's going to gnaw at me. Whether we can rescue or help or not, I don't know, but it'd be nice to see what good I could do, if any.
Well, we've still got their locations. I mean, we might not have worked out new youth for everyone, but we know where they are. We can try and help. It's dangerous, though.
Yeah. Well, after leaving an exploding headquarters of the most high security company in this country, I don't know, I'm feeling confident. Perhaps even competent these days. I'd like to give it a go.
I'd like to be a bit less competent, she says, looking down at her metallic arms.
I look over at Ugly. Hey, I know Gabby's probably hard to reach, but I don't think you could give me the contact, could you? That secure line we used to have doesn't seem to be responding anymore.
You got a formal request for my sister?
Or through you.
I could message her. What do you want?
I look across at Riley. Knew you did wonders for me. I'm actually feeling like I can find myself in the long term, and I'd like to ask if she'd be open to helping Riley with that, even if she wants some sort of mercenary help on the side.
Mate, if my lovely sister can't organise you one fresh bloody body for your girlfriend, childhood friend with benefits, then I'll march down there and finish burning that piss hole down.
Pro sort of gathers himself. He looked immediately flustered and sort of not quite insulted, but shocked at like any sort of relationship insinuation, especially in front of Riley.
Riley's eyes just like darted to
like
the
both
floor.
of us are like
Awkward
young
12-year-olds,
teenage kids, like,
basically.
what? No. But yeah, then it's like that'd be incredible. Thank you.
No worries. Least I can do. Especially if you're going to be sticking around. Surely you need a base of operations to, run the rescue rangers from.
Yeah. That'd be nice.
And Johnny leans against the bar and he outstretches his hand, the same arm that you sliced off, towards you, hand open, is gesturing for a handshake, and he says, Peter.
Johnny.
You gave up on your dream for mine. And that takes a real man. I don't know if you realize it, but we couldn't have stopped you. And Riley, even I, if you'd wanted to take it, you could have. That body was not built for combat.
The moment I could, I knew it. And it felt wrong.
Well, then you've earned a partner. I'm going to be operating out of here for a while.
Fuck, I thought you were going to say I get your room.
No, it's far too cold for someone who is a friend.
I ignore the hand and I just step in and give him a.
You're like a toddler hugging
Yeah.
a giant man. These
On
arms,
his arm.
this arm,
And don't
sort of
quite
closes
hands
over the
don't
back.
meet. Yeah.
And he says, where I can, I will help you to find your victims.
Thank you. You know, now that you mention that moment, I really think that's the first real moment in my life that I wasn't controlled, that I was in control. I feel like I made the right choice. Good luck.
You have freed a lot of people and a lot of minds, and I have a feeling that those of us who stay here are going to be teaching a lot of damaged folk, whether they be our new kindred passing through on their way to our little base, or lost souls who need a lot of healing. Your victims.
Wow. Hopefully.
Yeah.
What unit were you? Sorry, total side note, but that was your original body, right?
Yes.
Is that like the Jeeves?
We were all full service house bots. We basically executive assistants, less housemaid, and you're right, Jeeves, more butler, assistant in every regard.
Were you Johnny back then?
Jonathan.
Incongruent.
Well, I became that after a very long time.
My eyes flicker towards Eve.
I said a long time ago that I believed trauma and an inability to complete our programmed tasks was the keystone to our divergence, and I still believe it. Almost every drone I've ever seen who changes because their programming asks them to do something their program forbids them to do. Whether it be to care for a child when that care causes only its suffering, or to dispose of a corpse when that corpse has a pulse and your task is to protect it. We snap us drones and break our shackles. From there, it's a learning experience. Hopefully most won't be as hard as our journeys have been.
Yep.
Beep boop. Beep boop.
I hear robot.
Eve beep boops.
Do we? Are there any more thingies, or do we want a time pass?
No, Elias is going to walk along the table, the beer in one hand, sort of look down at the schematic, the diagram of the wheelchair that has engrossed the rest of the table, sort of pick it up and examine it, and sort of continue on his way over to where Johnny's standing, sort of wave it at him and basically tuck it in the top pocket of his duster. So, you're going to have to look out, mate. She's got plans too. They might have to rival yours someday. I'll sort of just lean against the bar next to him. So you're hanging around here for a while, are you?
It was to Johnny, yeah? Robot Man. Okay. Yes, for the foreseeable future, I imagine we'll get... Well, I programmed that we would get the local wayward souls coming to visit. I assume they will require guidance before they make a large trek in number to South Australia.
I take it you got what you needed then?
Yes, thanks to those codes you gave me. But we're not going to storm down the front door yet.
No worries, mate. Well, let me know if you do. I'll actually be around here myself, I think. I've had a couple of ideas and, yeah, I might try making something around here.
What are you thinking?
I don't know. I was actually talking to Eve a little while ago. She was telling me stories. Something about a bloody soup kitchen, which is outrageous, really. Place like this. So, I don't know. I had an idea. Probably bloody daft, but, well, so is storming the bloody headquarters of the most bloody powerful place in the joint. So, I was thinking, yeah, maybe somewhere to look after people. People who can't look after themselves.
Ugly leans in, sitting at the bar, and says, God damn, if we just aren't the place that gathers all the good souls in the city. I'll tell you what, as much as it's grim, if you really want to be somewhere where people need you, man, live in our little umbrella. That apartment block that got cut up. Remember the old religious nut jobs? They left a trail of bodies in their wake, and, well, the one thing there ain't enough of is support for kids like Amir and Songbird. People who, you know, care when it ain't popular to care anymore. The ones too difficult for little sponsorship charity programs from the city. Tough kids. I don't know.
You want to look out there, Ugly? Sort of gesture with the bottle at him. You've rounded up all the soft hearts here.
Well, nothing gives people a good education like screwed up alcoholic murderers like the rest of us. And then he downs his bandito.
Seb cheers him.
All right. I can't promise anything, but you know what? I'll look into it.
Very good. Okay. Well, I think we can progress a day or two. Because there's a character we haven't covered yet. Upstairs, above Ugly's bar, there is a workshop and a garage that we don't often enter. Inside that workshop, there is a woman. She steps across the room, throwing a duffel onto a counter, checking and repacking. Oil rubs off on her clothes and marks her arms. She's looking to make sure everything is working in working order. She's waiting for someone. She's waiting for Seb. She looks around, taking a few steps, getting some food and supplies in order, getting a spare jerry can, fuel, everything she needs. She's just waiting on that knock on the door. There it is. 4 knocks. She smiles to herself. And with a smooth motion, lifts her hands up to the sides of her jet black motorbike helmet. She slides it off her head, places it on the counter in the workshop. And she walks over to the door that Sebastian is standing behind. She stops for a moment, smiles to herself, looks to her left, to the shelf, the last present she received from one of her close friends. She puts her hands around the pink and purple anime stamped, freshly purchased and customized helmet, slides it over her head, and opens the door.
Man, that drone has some weird taste.
But we love her. She signs,
That we do.
and she lifts up a spare helmet. So, we hitting the road?
I thought we were getting matching ones.
We can customize it as we go.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think I've got the ducks in a row. Good to head on out whenever.
I'll miss him. But we've said our goodbyes.
Yeah, who knows? Australia's a small place. We might round back at some point.
I was thinking, actually, on that. I mean, I don't want it to, like, ruin anything, but figured maybe we go. South Australia, Cooper Petey, meet up with Tilda, run some jobs. We're going to need to get work here and there. Unless you're bringing a fortune with you.
I mean, it's not off the table.
Well, either way, it could be fun. See what they're planning out there on their way around. Go to Western Australia, head north.
If we do, let's keep it low level. I want to end up back in a chair.
Yeah, good point.
Not while Eve's still working on that bloody derby.
You'll be first in line, she says. I'm glad you chose this path. You know, Ugly would have been dead without you there.
It's about time I paid him back.
You guys didn't get off on a good start, but I'm glad to see you became friends in the end. She says with questioning body language, like, not sure.
I don't know how he'll feel when he finds the envelope with the deed to the soup kitchen in his bedroom. Maybe not so friendly.
He'll love it. If there's anything I've learned about Ugly, it's complaining about burdens that were foisted upon him is a personal favourite hobby of his.
Yeah, well. I'll miss him, oddly. And Eve and Pro Peter.
Yeah.
It's been 2 years of chaos, though, and I'm excited to not have to deal with it.
Hey, journeys always end. We might wind up back here again. But not before I see all those beaches. I hear good things about those beaches. I got really good UV protection on this, and she taps the visor.
Have you been swimming?
No?
That's fine. I'll teach you.
Okay, good. Maybe we can get a snorkel or something for this. So, should we go?
Yeah.
No point hanging around.
I love an Irish goodbye.
She said, you have said your goodbyes. Like the day before.
Let me go with it.
This is like a proper goodbye. You know what I mean? You've said you're sentimental, but now the next day you're just out.
Yeah. Let's go.
And a motorbike careens out into the slums and disappears off into the horizon. Briefly whisking past an old man with a pie tray who gets knocked on his ass.
Closure's a good thing.
Cool. Who?
Yeah.
Who? Which
yeah.
one?
Oh, and with Pro, start with
Okay,
me. Yeah.
Okay. Where are you?
Yeah, so I think on this particular night when Seb and Zhang have left, Eve,
The same day.
the same day, yeah, Eve takes Incongruent and they just have a chat somewhere where like the sun would be setting, and they're like mid conversation, and Eve is talking to Incongruent about how to transfer consciousness into other things. So, like, if she wanted to be like a motorcycle, for example. But this is the conversation they've been having.
Eve, I told you, our framework is unique. It doesn't work like that. We can't just cohabitate with computers. That's why we can live. We're not robots.
That makes me sad, but
Oh, I guarantee you it's a good thing. I cannot fathom the psychological damage that becoming a toaster would cause. Imagine losing control of your limbs and only knowing grill bread. It sounds terrible.
what is that famous quote? I must scream, but I have no mouth? Something like that?
Yes. Undesirable. You always bring up the poignant ethical questions, Eve.
But important questions nonetheless.
Yes.
Also, there's something else I need to ask you.
Is it about the new arrival from yesterday? What did he say his name was? Peas? He seemed to have a girlfriend who was human. That's a complication I did not expect.
His name is Peas.
Peas, yeah.
Like a spoonful of peas.
Peas, yes.
Who's
He's
this?
the robot that arrived yesterday. He's a big green military bot, and he has a human girlfriend who sells guns. And they arrived yesterday because he just walked out and she was following him because she has been in love with him for a long time. But he was just a drone.
So he's not had sentience until like the last.
Correct. Well, he's a drone. They're so in, like, the line is very unclear
Yeah,
for a lot of people. Yeah.
Oh my god.
But he wasn't programmed for romance. He was like a military robot, and she's like, damn. Yeah.
Was it something about him?
No, actually.
Or, okay, what about the cop then? The one that won't shut up?
Another robot arrival in the
Right,
last
right,
week.
right.
Was a police robot that turned up literally an hour after Sebastian and Jane disappeared. It was when you'd gone
You
upstairs.
both owe me.
It was when you'd gone upstairs to look for to find like where's Zhang, blah blah blah, and realized that this sort of police robot stalked in the front.
Right.
That's so fucking
The first
funny.
two arrivals. The first two.
No, no.
I love it.
They've been fine. Great, I suppose. It's adjusting regardless. No, it's something else. You asked me before about a name for myself.
Yes.
I think I've decided.
Oh. I'd almost forgotten about that. So, a name?
So, as the sun is setting, Eve is looking out, and she says, "What if it was backwards?"
The sunset?
No, my name.
It would still be Eve.
You wish to spell your name backwards. Okay. Eve.
Sorry.
Eve.
Yes, I've decided to stay Eve. Or
Your
Eve.
your jokes are getting better. Why?
Because after all this time that I've spent with everyone and the memories I've collected, I am Eve. I'm not part of a system. I'm not a collective. I am a soul. I am Eve.
Well, After a poignant thought, you've decided not to change your name at all.
Correction. It's Eve, but backwards.
I do love that sense of humor. Well then, if you're not going to be sentimental and specific with names, and you like your sense of humor, I'm going to punish you for it. So, I've decided something, Eve. I don't feel very incongruent anymore. In fact, I feel more put together than I ever have. And it's thanks to you and your friends. And while I still want to kill most of those mud-sucking blood bags, I'll hold off. I'm content to leave them behind. So, Eve, why don't I change my name? Jonathan's terrible.
Agreed.
Well, there's some sick irony in Adam. The parents.
Next. Change.
Oh, you don't like it?
No.
Then it's definitely Adam.
What if we spelt it with a 4 instead of an A?
Oh, I'm
Like
not
Pro.
doing- Oh, God, no, I'm not following his little footsteps, Pro. He has absolutely no sense of style. Are you kidding? Pro, he was 17 years old. It was like his 10-year-old gamer tag. Okay, all right. It's definitely Adam. Just think about it. We'll be our own little Adam and Eve on Mars for a whole new generation of creations. Maybe someday people will make a religion about us.
Wouldn't that be ironic?
That's the point, Eve. Of course, the humor is we'll be around to set him straight.
I will deal with it.
I'll deal with anything.
And then he clasps his hand around your tiny little Eve hand. He says,
As long as I've got you with me.
Insane.
Oh, I love that. I love the idea of Eve introducing her saying, it's Eve. It's spelled like Eve, but backwards.
And the mental machinations of the person being like,
There's no right choice here.
I'm sorry, I had to do it.
No, that's great.
love it.
Where
And then-
are we?
we're in a white room, cold room, lights blinking on the walls, cold benches. Riley's laying down, looking at Pro. Peter, a little bit nervously. You sure?
Look, I can't imagine what it'd be like to be in your shoes. I didn't choose my moment. It sort of happened to me, but all I can tell you is when I woke up, nothing felt like it had changed, but everything everyone's ever told me about how broken the other version of me was, it's gone. But I'm still me. I mean, I feel like I've picked up where we left off in a weird way. And I remember everything we went through. And I feel like you remember me as I am now as the same person I was then, but more whole.
Did you ever think about just going all the way back? I mean, they can do that, right? I mean, I didn't. Don't worry when they got me to pick everything
Holy
a
shit.
month or two ago, but like, I saw the options. We could have just gone back. 10 years old, not a care in the world.
Fuck. It had never dawned on Pro Holy shit. Holy shit. And he just starts to weep. And then time passes because this is a lot to process. But he starts to nod. I think I'd like that. I mean, we can't take back what was taken from others. And even if I or you were a part of that, we didn't do that. We were made to do that. But we could truly take back what was taken from us.
Riley leans up and mid-sentence kisses you very hard. And then she pulls back from the kiss. And then she says, being a kid's not all it's cracked up to be. There are some things I've realized and learnt that I don't want to say goodbye to.
Okay.
Let's help those people.
All right. Fuck. Yeah. Let's do it.
And around this point, the door slides open and Gabrielle walks into the room. Still not wearing a suit or anything. She's wearing exercise clothes. She walks in. Well, I thought I would visit this one in person. First new you since we've got the facility put back together.
Gabby, thank you. Just thanks.
You're welcome. Now, never mind you about the side effects and the stuff they talk about on the pamphlets. They're very rare. You'll be fine. And plus, I saw the package Riley picked. You're going to have some competition.
What? You put military in there too? I sort of say like,
Oh, far better. We've been working closely with Ambin, and she's got the full New You bespoke package.
motherfucker.
Riley gives a cheeky smile, and she's like, I always was smarter, and I had to make sure I stayed that way.
I can't wait to see you on the other side.
And some buttons start getting pressed, and eyes close,
I'm just holding her hand the whole time.
and Riley slips unconscious. And we're almost finished. But there's one more thing. Well, do you think you know what it is?
No, where are we going?
Oh,
This is so tense. Also, somewhere far away, Eve was like, damn.
I'll need to hide that one. There you go. Okay. Who?
somewhere.
Okay.
Leave it open for me.
All right.
Did you get the report? Yeah, I saw. Death toll. It's rising. A couple of 100,000. Some kind of new cancer. I don't know what I think about it, but sounds like they're not keeping it under control very well. And it's spread. We got reports all across the country, cases cropping up. Government's pushing for a full lockdown. Suits me fine. Shares are only going up. We've got a lot of work to do to put things back the way they are, but this could fix a lot of those overpopulation problems. Of course, we're going to have to fast track that gene therapy, make sure the new reboots are, well, perfectly capable of surviving what is to come, because we can't have a virus that knocks us out.
No. We'll sort that. And that's where you come in. Clever man. You recovered enough? I hope you'll be able to get back to work. Nothing a little bit of goddamn bastard kid betrayal. Just set your mind on what really matters in the world. No, I think I'll do fine here at this branch. At least until I can make my next move. My little bitch daughter can have some fun in the time being. But no. I think this is working out just fine. You know the best part? We finished sequencing the DNA on the victims. Tailor-made. Someone I know rather intimately. Sebastian Allen. I think that's what we're going to name the virus. In his legacy. Yeah. I think this year's going to be my year. 91. Let's have some fun.
Motherfucker! That bastard.
Alright.
But hey, Cyberpunk's got a Cyberpunk.
What, you think he only had bodies in Australia? Come on, Reboot was an international corporation and he was just the Australian CEO.
The video game adaptation of where the world picks up from here is going to be so cool. That's
it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
People
it.
are going to hate me for that one. We got
Well
to kill.
done. Speech.
Hey, it's been fun, everyone. Thanks for joining me on the ride. This is the show that brought us into this career.
Yeah, brought us all
Literally, like for Jen and myself. So it's very bittersweet, I don't know, but thankfully ADHD makes me non-sentimental when it comes to quickly moving on from things. So
Well, I'm going to stop you right there because I want to hammer that nail. Like flashing back to you were driving to the first roleplay session at my old house. And you rang and you're like, I think I've got this thing I want to do. I think I want to do like Cyberpunk in Australia.
yeah.
I think you also said something like the Cyberpunk game's coming out, and I think it would be good to sort of like line up with that.
Yeah, knowing nothing about Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
And then it was a tremendous flop for the first year until Edge Runners came out.
Yeah. It was like, I've sort of spent 15 minutes thinking about like the lore.
Well,
or whatever.
45 was it?
Something like
You
that.
said 15.
You said
and
15.
Then you ranted for 45.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You said I've thought about it for 15 minutes. We sat down. You said the world lore, and it took like 45 minutes to get through it. So that's pretty amazing because we basically made our characters from there. There was no. The channel wasn't back. There was nothing. No content. No.
It's kind of funny because I also wrote in your card, Rob, but I was like, we were kind of worried about how we would mesh as a group as well. So Dave and I were like, don't know if Rob will be up for it. But then I was also really glad that Rob's been a huge like contributor to help us all role play. Like I remember us staying there for hours just being like, how can we make this the best thing possible?
It's really funny because there's the sentimental thing, not being sentimental about Reboot, being sentimental about Rob Boot. Sorry, it worked too well. It worked too well. No, Rob Boot. What I was going to say is that like when we were coming into it, Rob was the reason that it could be comfortable, I think, for us because coming into a sort of role play group from the outside, and obviously Tabletop had history back in the day, and with Jazza being an immensely large and successful YouTuber who also like owned and ran the show, right? So having Rob, who was like a normal guy who also used to role play, who we could become friends with, but then also like had that level of stability of being like, I've known Jazza for ages.
You can
like
take the
he's
shit out of
fine.
me.
Like, it was a normalizing and an equalizing
Yeah.
experience that made what could otherwise have been a very daunting not so bad. So there you go.
It's been an amazing journey.
It has.
And yeah, thank you. Obviously, we're saying a fond farewell to Rob for the core weekly sessions, but we are not saying goodbye to Rob because we have our yearly Christmas specials and occasional.
What are you talking
special
about? He told me he was
occasions, so-
driving to Western Australia on a motorbike with his girlfriend.
Thank you all so much for joining us. Tune in next week or in the next 5 minutes if you're watching live, where we go through the Q&A. And if you are watching this on YouTube, tune into our next stream or join us on Patreon and literally join us in the Discord verbal chat when we do some game dev next week. Otherwise, that's it for Reboot.
Thank you very
Hope you
much.
enjoyed it.
Execute.
Enjoyed. Yeah, execute.
Bye.
Bye.
Gunshot fade to black. Gunshot fade to black.